Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Michael Boyson, but most people know me by my online alias Shellstool. I would love to just jump right into this, but for me to do this correctly, I have to provide some explanation about myself, the situation I'm in, and this campaign. This way, you understand why I'm making this video, what it is I'm trying to accomplish, and what is at stake, personally, for me. Before we get into it, I'm going to be honest and realistic with you as I am with everyone else. You could be investing money into this, and I want to make sure you know exactly what it is you are paying for. As a result, things are going to be a little different, meaning they'll most likely come off as more personal and provide more in-depth information than usual. This is something I'm incredibly passionate about, and I properly want to convey this. I just ask that you make it to the end of this video, and if you feel up to it, provide some feedback. It'll help me become a better person and provide better content in the future. As a side note, you'll hear the term modder. This is somebody that creates or edits existing content in a video game. As for some information about myself, I've been playing video games since the original NES, and I've been modding since the Amiga 500, with games such as Elite Frontier and Battletech Crescent Hawk's Inception. Since then, I've played countless video games and have had the amazing opportunity of seeing nearly every first-of-its-kind video game emerge. Got to experience multiplayer becoming something truly amazing, the rise of console gaming, and now we're experiencing the evolution of virtual reality. I tell you this so that you understand that video games have been a major part of my life. You can even say I was born into it and molded by it. I have played games and learned over the years what the difference really is between a good and a bad one. I have modded games and been in contact with the game developers while doing so, providing some fantastic insight into the world of video game development and what really is involved. I've been watching video games come and go, following their story of triumph or failure, whether they were crowdfunded, had publishers, or something else. I participated in the Emerald City Comic-Con panel discussing video game modding and how it benefits individuals, communities, and developers. I've met and collaborated with some really awesome people on every continent, minus Antarctica, for now. Now for some not-so-pleasant information. In May of 2016, I started dealing with Crohn's disease, and since then, I've nearly died several times. As of this video, I still do not have it completely under control, but I am doing everything I can to deal with this disease and continue to work on my future. It has been a very challenging experience, and at times it has been very difficult to do almost anything. Despite this, I fortunately have an amazing opportunity with video games. I've been modding Space Engineers since 2014. A bit later, I started Fallout 4, and since then I've been growing a Patreon and Discord community around what it is I do, and so far it's been a phenomenal experience. I have done collaborative work, have taken many commissions, have worked closely with several live streamers, I've done what I can to teach others to learn to mod, and now I'm looking to the future. Obviously, this means developing a video game. So here's some decently trimmed down information about it. First, we need to talk about the technology involved in the development of the game. Game engine-wise, we'll be using Amazon Lumberyard, a fantastic new game engine in development by Amazon. The reason for this is that it is new, it has a huge source of funding for development, it already has amazing tools built into it, and so much more. From here, it's open to what we can use. For 3D modeling, I'll be using Blender since it's free and open source. I would eventually like to get plugins made for it to make making content for the game even faster. This is an important mention, as it'll make it more accessible to modders everywhere. I, thanks to my Patreon supporters, have Photoshop and Substance Painter for creating higher quality textures for models. Now for about the game itself. It'll be a sci-fi game set far in the future when mankind finally decides to explore the stars. The primary setting is on a fleet of colony ships doing just that, exploring the stars. If you're familiar with Macross Frontier, there's a massive colony ship called a generation ship. This is a spaceship that has a slice of Earth in it. Families are born and live out their lives on this ship, hence the name. With a fleet of spaceships at our disposal, we can create many types of games within the same universe that all sort of feed into one another to make a more complete game experience. While the common link being the spaceships, where each spaceship could be a different game type, and going from one to the other is a transition that will essentially be switching game types, but you keep your same character throughout all of them. As for some technology within the game itself, you can expect to see high-tech weaponry such as railguns, energy weapons, missile swarms, mechs, power armor, space fighters, entire other alien species, and so much more. The general idea with the technology is to provide something that is high in science fiction, but has elements of realism to make it a more immersive and fun experience. The colony fleet isn't traveling with some sort of special warp technology that allows them to go from one solar system to the next in the blink of an eye. As a result, all of the decisions made have to be in the best interest of the fleet, and as a result, could take a lot of time to execute. As for a benefit towards the development with this sort of process, this means that we can focus on smaller elements while maintaining a connection to the game's universe and lore. There is a video game called Stardew Valley that is a fantastic game, providing a perfect example of this at a smaller scale. This is the template for what we want to achieve. A game where everyone can play together and work towards a common goal, but you don't have to participate in any style of gameplay if you don't want to. This means if you want to be a farmer, and that's it, so be it. If you want to go mining because you prefer that over farming, so be it. You don't have to touch any specific style of gameplay if you don't want to. If you don't like those peaceful styles of gameplay, you could go into combat and explore derelict spaceships and stations, defend against hostile invasions, compete in PvP arenas testing optimum equipment loadouts, or even testing your might against other players. Then we tie it all together with ways that each benefit from one another. The farmer makes food and other items you might expect a farm on a spaceship to make. Then these goods can be sold on a market that is accessible by other players. So the miner or combat person could purchase food to recover energy, provide a small boon, or other roleplay purposes. The primary benefit to the development of the game with this design choice in mind is that we can develop each individual game to be a very enjoyable experience by themselves, and then we stitch them together. This way, you can play whatever game you want with whoever you want, but you don't have to be doing the same thing. And you're all working towards a common goal. The farmer could send care packages to his friend that is a miner or combat person. The miner could send necessary resources to the farmer that would allow them to expand their farm and create more stuff for the miner or even the combat person. The combat person would then be defending the ships with the farmer and the miner in them, and possibly during combat salvage the technology of their foes for the other two to make use of, or even themselves. Additionally, there is a story that I'd really like to tell with this game, but I don't want to provide too many spoilers, and the game is the priority, since there is no story with no game. Having been in the modding scene for so long, I truly understand the benefit of having a community that is invested in your game. As a result, we'll be looking to the community for help with development in many aspects. If someone has the free time, skill, and desire, they could completely create a whole new alien species, including all of their 3D models, sounds, and whatever else. This will allow us to augment the development process to provide potentially amazing content that doesn't come from us as the official developers. A particular determined individual or group of modders could create a fantastic game extension that further expands the play experience of the game, such as creating space combat with enjoyable physics, or a full-fledged questing system that spans across all game modes. If the official game has the funds, this could translate to these talented individuals receiving compensation or job offers to help develop the game full-time. Additionally, one of the best practices I've seen in game development comes from a particular game studio employing a live streamer as their PR person. I want to take this a step further and will live stream the entire time I'm creating content for the game, so that you, as the user, can see that work is actively being done on the game and can interact with us in such a way that could have a profoundly beneficial effect on the development of the game. This brings us to the purpose of this video: funding and development. As of right now, I can't work due to Crohn's disease. As a result, I have many limitations that I'm trying to overcome, such as being able to pay a programmer to help develop the game. The plan I've set forth spans from receiving nothing to an indefinite amount. To start, I need some way of establishing a recurring income. A method available to me that cooperates with the symptoms of Crohn's is live streaming. With this, I could live stream modding, gameplay, and creating content for the video game. As a result, my Patreon and Twitch would grow at some unknown rate, and over time, I'd be able to hire a programmer to help with the project, and go from there. A programmer is vital to the development of the game, as I do not know programming. I can, however, create most art assets, such as 3D models, pixel art, sounds, and so forth. Your donations and or subscriptions are vital to the development of the video game, but I don't want to promise you guys physical merchandise, as it is often the downfall of many crowdfunding campaigns, as it ends up incurring a lot of extra costs and fees. In an effort to put as much as the money as possible towards the development of the game, we will not be offering cool shirts or pictures or anything until we've provided you a product worthy of that physical merchandise. This way, your donations go as far as they possibly can, and you get the most for what is given. As this is a discussion for funding a game, and due to the nature of video game development, we all need to have the understanding that to develop a high-quality video game could take a long time. As a result, I have to look at possible methods for keeping funding going. Ideally, what happens, you donate at least $1 to this campaign, and then you go over to my Patreon and subscribe for $1 a month. And then that's it. You get the game for free, regardless whether or not you donated or subscribed. You never have to worry about being charged for DLC, expansions, or any sort of pre-order bonuses. And you pay a very minimal amount per month to aid in development. With enough $1 subscriptions, it's very easily possible to pay for the development of the game. With 10,000 users at $1 a month, that means we'll have roughly $10,000 per month to pay for development, which could allow us to have 3 developers, including myself, working on the game full-time. This means by 60 months, you'll have paid $60 at $1 a month. And 60 months is 5 years of game development, which by that time should be a game worth $60. Now, to properly reward people for their support, we have to be careful, as we can actually run out of in-game content to provide to supporters as a reward and not make it unbalanced for supporters versus non-supporters. To start, everyone that donates any amount will receive the title of being a supporter from the beginning. This will appear everywhere to allow you to show your support wherever you are within our community. And that particular title will become no longer available once the game is officially released. We can have tiered titles to reward people for supporting sooner or larger amounts. This too can be developed as our community and game grows. We can reward large investors immediately by allowing them to claim various aspects in the game and influence certain designs heavily based off of their requests. But this is for significant donations only, being in the multiple of thousands of dollars. This means you could see a colony ship or alien species sponsored by a YouTuber, live streamer, or even a big corporate company. Essentially, this could allow for a name brand to create an entire alien species, have a colony ship where all the players interact, or even have an entire equipment line designed after them. Of course, all of this will be developed over time as to properly scale rewards so that no one feels cheated out of a sufficient enough reward for their donation. After a certain period of time, we could offer physical merchandise as a reward, but that will not be until we're well down the road of development as to protect your initial investment. Ideally, at minimum, this campaign raises $32,000, which would allow me to move to a new location with sufficiently fast enough internet to live stream, due to the fact that my present living situation does not allow me to do so. This is the slowest ideal result, as it would allow me to start live streaming immediately and begin creating art assets for the video game and beginning to learn to work in the Amazon lumberyard environment. I, however, will not be able to hire a programmer until later, which means that it'll take longer for you guys to start being able to play. Scaling beyond the ideal minimum, we'd be looking at $32,000 for either an additional dev for 1 year or an existing dev's 1 year's worth of wages. This will cover most fees and taxes involved with hiring an individual and still allow them to make $2,000 a month, which several individuals have already agreed to. This means that if we raise $128,000, we could have 3 developers and myself for 1 year working on the game full time, or 1 additional developer and myself working on the game for 2 years. With the developers working from home and not having to have an office building to rent, it saves us and you a lot of money, allowing more of that money to go directly to game development instead of unnecessary costs. If we don't get to the $32,000 mark, things will change accordingly. If we raise enough for me to move, then I'll take what I can for however many months to a minimum of 6 months and work on live streaming to build a sufficient enough recurring income to permanently stay at the location with fast enough internet to live stream. As a backup plan in case this campaign doesn't raise $32,000, I'm looking at games to mod that would be worth it and work best for me. I was looking forward to Fallout 76, as I have quite a bit of experience modding Fallout 4. But that doesn't appear to be a viable choice right now and might not be a good idea with how things have been going with them lately. Additionally, I was looking forward to Atlas to mod, but so far it's a bad choice as well. But that could improve over time. The appeal here is that it supports massive servers right out of the gate, and with some significant modding, could be turned into a sci-fi experience to tease the idea of our game. Another fantastic title coming out is Hightail, which would not be the right direction for our game, but I could possibly build a large enough following, which would hopefully provide enough funding to move and begin to live stream. I'm most excitedly looking forward to Warcraft Reforged, which is a remaster of Warcraft 3: The Frozen Throne, which had a phenomenal custom game creator. I plan on creating some of the fantastic custom games from back when I played it so many years ago. But now with my 3D modeling experience, the games I would create on that would be even better. The downside to this one is it's slated for an end-of-the-year release. I've also been contemplating picking up Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2, but I'll have to wait to see how it's received. The benefit here is I could at least work on spaceships and stations that would provide us with some of the art assets prior to working on our game. I also am on the hunt for other games to mod and play, but so far I've not seen very many that interest me. This backup plan means I'll hopefully raise enough via Patreon, investors, donations, or whatever over time to get my own place and start live streaming, which then leads to everything else. The ultimate goal is to live stream and create a video game, and how fast that happens depends on you. I'm very aware of how bad the crowdfunding experience has been for everyone, and all of the bad stuff that has happened. I have run 2 successful campaigns before, one to replace my monitors when they died, and another to replace my computer when it died. Most everything I have ever received has gone into video game modding and creating educational content for others and helping them individually. I tell you this as a reassurance that what I am saying has happened before and will continue to happen in terms of providing what I have provided for many years. For me, this is about having a future where I can do what it is I'm doing now, just more significantly and involving more people. I already plan to continue helping, teaching, and modding games regardless of the outcome here. I spent the time and energy while I was bedridden to research what would be the best idea for the future. I'm not going to develop a game for today. I can't realistically do that. But I can plan for a few years down the road. Lastly, in tandem with this campaign and everything else, I'm looking for individuals to help develop said game. As I said earlier, we'll be using Amazon Lumberyard, which uses C++. If there are any programmers, artists, sound designers, musicians, concept artists, or anyone out there that'd be okay with initially working on this project for free, let me know. In the description below towards the bottom, I'll be providing a host of links for you. One of the most important links I'd like to make you aware of is the one for my Discord server. If you can't donate right now, but would like to follow what's going on, I highly suggest joining it. I'm almost always on the server chilling, talking to people, helping them with their modding issues, or working on my own projects. The only time I'm not really available is medical appointments and when I'm sleeping. And that pretty much wraps it all up. I understand it's a lot to take in, but I do it for the sake of thoroughness and make sure you understand exactly what is going on here. I don't want to mislead anyone into thinking they're getting something they are not. I also do not want to squander the opportunity to have a future beyond disability. Despite the fact that this is a lofty goal, there is a roadmap for development here. Unfortunately, I can't offer anyone an ETA, as I don't know how well this campaign is going to go. Soon after this video, I'll be making an update video explaining where things are right now. That way you can see that things are still being worked on despite having no funding whatsoever at this very moment. That's all for now. Thank you for your time. I'm Shaustel, and I'll see you again soon.